Okay, so we're going to convert 1,500 pounds to kilograms, right? So how many pounds are there in a kilogram? 2.2 pounds per kilogram. Okay? So if we multiply this number by something that's in kilograms, we're going to end up with pounds. Correct? But we want to go the other way. So what we have is technologically inept here. We've got 1,500 pounds, okay? And we want to multiply that by 1. So we want to get rid of the pounds. So we need something with pounds on the bottom. So that would be your 2.2 pounds, right? And the bottom per kilogram. But if you flip it, it's still 1. 1 over 1 is still 1. So we're still multiplying by 1. Okay? So we get rid of the pounds, and we're left with what?
2.2 multiplied by 2.
Yeah, which is what? Who's got a calculator, right?
Oh, I know it's calculated.
That's 3,000 and change. Well, actually, we're going to be dividing, right? So 1,500 divided by 2.2. Right? Because it's on the bottom. Right? Pounds to kilograms, you're going to get a smaller number. So 1,500 divided by 2.2 is less than 750, right? What is it? Can you speak up? 681. Okay, what are the units? 681 kilograms. Very good. Okay. Now we want to go from 45 ounces to kilograms. So one way to do it is to convert ounces to pounds, because we already know the pounds to kilograms. That's how I would do it. Now somebody could look up how many ounces are in a kilogram and do the conversion directly, but most people don't remember that. Okay, so we have how many ounces in a pound?
16.
16 ounces equals 1 pound.
2 cups.
Okay? 16 ounces is a pound. And then we already said 2.2 pounds is a kilogram. So we're starting with 45 ounces. Okay? So we want to multiply by 1 and end up with pounds. Right? So we've got 16 ounces and 1 pound. Does the 16 go in the numerator or in the denominator? Yeah, because we want to get rid of the 16 ounces, right? Or the ounces, I should say. And we don't forget about the 1 pound you have on the top. That makes it a 1. Okay? And now the ounces cancel. And we end up with 45 divided by 16. Who's got a calculator? 2.8 pounds. Now we got to go from pounds to kilograms, right? Because the original problem is to do kilograms. Correct? So what do? Who knows? We have 2.8. Now we want 1 pound. I mean, 2. I made a mistake. Won't let me erase. Okay.
Let's get scratch out. Maybe, no.
What did I do wrong? We want kilograms on the bottom, right? Oh wait, this is in pounds. No wonder I'm confused. I should practice more. We have pounds. We want to go to kilograms. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So 2.8 pounds. We want to divide by pounds. So we got 2.2 pounds in 1 kilogram. right? So we're multiplying by 1. And so what does that equal to? 1 point something kilograms, right? What was that? 1 point what? 27?
1.28.
1.28 kilograms. Okay? So we went from ounces all the way to kilograms. And it's a two-step process, is the way I did it. Okay, there's lots of different ways you can. Now we're going to have two different units we're playing with. We're going from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. Okay, and here's a hint, right? Going from kilometers to miles, there's this 1.64 factor in there. So you have to multiply miles by 1.64 to get kilometers, or you divide kilometers, right, by 1.64 to get miles. Okay?
Is that 730 kilometers per hour?
Yes.
Okay.
So since we have hours here and hours here, it's not going to be so hard, right? So what do you think we should do? Any ideas?
Can't you just forget about the hours altogether?
Pretty much. So we got to convert kilometers into miles. How do we do that?
You can multiply 730 by 1.64.
So there's 1 mile in 1.64 kilometers, right? So now the kilometers will cancel. And I multiplied by 1, it's still the same number. So 730 kilometers is, did you guys do the division? What's 730 divided by 1.64? If you have a solar calculator, it's going to be hard.
445.
445. What? What units? Miles. Okay, and it was miles per hour. So we're not changing the time unit. We've gone 445 miles in 1 hour, or we've done 730 kilometers in 1 hour. So we're done, right? 445 miles per hour. That's not so bad. Now we're going to get a little bit harder. Meters to miles. Well, I would do it in 2 steps, right? Go from meters to kilometers and then kilometers into miles. That's how I think. Some people can jump right away to it. Okay, they know it's 1,640 meters in a mile. So you could do it that way as well. Okay, so let's do the 2-step. So we got 66,000 meters. We're going to multiply by 1. So we're going to try to get rid of that meters, right, and exchange it with kilometers. So we're going to have kilometers on top, and how many meters on the bottom? 1,000 meters. Very good. We're still multiplying by 1. I'm going to keep repeating that, and then maybe, that's what you'll remember when you're in college. The meters cancel. Okay, and so what do we end up with?
66 kilometers.
Kilometers. Well, we need to go to miles. So what do we have to multiply that with? We have to multiply by 1. So we want miles on top. So 1 mile. And what do we want on the bottom? 1.64 kilometers. Okay? So again, this is multiplying, this is 1, because there's 1 mile to every 1.64 kilometers. I'm keeping track of my units. If you do it upside down, which a lot of people do, they'll multiply by 1.65 in this case, right? Then you'll end up with kilometers squared per mile. That's a weird unit, right? So if you keep
You're
track of
doing
your
it the wrong
units,
way, yeah.
yeah, if you keep track of your units, you already know you're pretty much doing it the right way. Okay, so again, kilometers cancel. Did someone do 66 divided by 1.64 and get a number?
40.24.
40.2 miles. Okay? Very good. Okay, somebody tell me what I need to do with this one. 9.25 kilometers to meters. So we need to know how many meters in a kilometer, right? Is that right?
Yes.
So what do we do to 9.25 kilometers? Multiply by 1, which would be 1,000 what over 1? What?
1,000 meters to 1 kilometer.
Yeah, if you keep the units in there, then you're multiplying by 1, right? That's always a trick. So this is easy. This works out really nicely, right? So what do we get?
250 meters.
Got to move the decimal place 3 times, right? Because we have 3 zeros. So that would be 925
Oh,
0. What?
meters.
You left with meters. So that's not. Kilometers per hour to miles per hour. Didn't we do this? This looks familiar. Or did we go the other way before?
No, yeah, we did this.
We did this. Let's skip it. Okay, kilometers per hour to meters per second. My handwriting just got better. How do we do this? Any ideas? We got a kilometer. We're going to change it to a meter unit. And then we got hours, and we're going to change it to seconds. So we need 2 things now, right? So how many meters in a kilometer? 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. And how many seconds are in 1 hour?
3600.
How do you know that?
60 times 60.
60 what times 60 what?
I don't know this number.
60 seconds are in a minute.
Oh, 60 minutes
60 minutes are in an hour.
and 60 seconds in 1 minute.
So you get 3,600. This might be worth going through for some of the students, right? You got 60 seconds per minute. And then you have 60 minutes per hour. Right? So the minutes cancel, and then you have seconds per hour, which is 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. That's how we get that. Okay? That's where that 3,600 comes from. This guy right here. So you don't have to memorize that if you know how to calculate it. Cool. So what's our first step? We want to go from 36 kilometers to meters.
Multiply by 1,000.
So we're going to multiply by 1. And we want meters on top. So I got 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Kilometers cancel. We get 3,600, or 36,000, I should say,
Yeah,
meters.
36,000.
Yay! Oh, this is starting to look like it's going to work out evenly, isn't it? Okay, now I got to go from the hours. Right? So this is 3,600 meters, and actually we should put per hour. Right? We haven't converted that yet. So what do we have to multiply by? 1, right? But notice the hours are in the bottom.
1 hour.
So you need an hour on top. What goes on the bottom?
3,600 seconds.
3600.
Okay, so this one I made especially pretty, right? Comes out even. Okay, so you know what happens now, right? The hours cancel, and we're left with what? Meters per second. 3,600 cancels too, so we end up with how many meters per second for the answer? This all cancels, right? So you get 1 meter per second. No?
An extra zero is that.
Oh, 10 meters per second. I'm glad I have mathematicians in this class. Yeah, I crossed out an extra 0. See, there's 3 of them here and there's only 2 of them there. Okay, so you think it's getting harder? This one's easy, actually. Help me out here. How do I do this?
15,000 centimeters multiplied by 1.
I mean, what's the process? We want to do what? Centimeters to meters to kilometers? Unless you can do it in your head because they're all factors of 10, right? So you go 15,000 centimeters. We're going to multiply by 1, so we want 1 centimeter on the, or we want centimeters on the bottom, I should say. Right? And we want meters on top. So we have 1 on top and 100 on the bottom. Okay, it wants me to save it. Let's save it. So we have 1 meter per 100 centimeters. Oop, I changed colors on you. Okay, and then they cancel. So it'll be, what, 150? But we're still not there yet. Whoops.
You canceled the centimeters. didn't you?
Yes, I did. It's not letting.
Easily confused, don't confuse me.
I confused myself. Yeah, we're left with meters, right? That was the whole point of this. So we got 150 meters. Okay, so we still need to go to kilometers because the problem says how many kilometers is that. So how do we do that?
Multiplied by 1.
Which would be?
1,000 kilometers in 1 meter.
Yeah, 1,000 kilometers in a meter. Is that correct?
Yes.
No.
The other way around.
1,000 meters in a
1,000 meters in a kilometer. See, it's easy to make that mistake, though, right? And then you end up with huge numbers when you're supposed to end up with smaller numbers. Okay, my math teachers are snoring, but I'm doing okay. Right? So there's 3 decimal places. If you plug it into your calculator, it'll give you a nice number too, right? 0.15 kilometers. So 15,000 centimeters is 0.15 kilometers. Is that correct? Did I do that right? You guys are correcting me, I hope. Oh, I hope I just didn't erase all the other recordings. Anyway, now comes another one. We're going to do square inches to square meters. This gets a lot of people. So I did a little bit of advanced work on this one. I drew a square. This is supposed to be a square. And I said, okay, one side of the square is an inch, one side of the square is an inch. How many centimeters is that? That's 2.54 centimeters are in an inch, right? So 1 square inch is how many square centimeters? 2.54 squared. So you got to square the 2.54. And that's what I did here. All right, so 1 inch by 1 inch equals 1 inch squared. Each inch is 2.54 centimeters. So that's the same thing as saying 2.54 centimeters times 2.54 centimeters, which is 6.45 centimeters squared. That's the trick, okay? That's the difference since they're squared. All right, so now I've got 6.45 centimeters per square inch. I'm starting with this many square inches, so I've got 1,256 square inches. I got to multiply by 1, which is 6.45 centimeters squared, divided by 1 inch squared. The inches cancel. Inch squared cancels, excuse me. When you do this math, you get 8,101 centimeters squared. We're almost there, right? Now we're in metric units, so things are going to get easier, right? So this is metric. We want to go to meters. We're in centimeters squared. So we've gotten to here, 8,101 centimeters squared. We want to know how many meters squared that is. I drew my square again. This is the way I think. Others might have different methods. 1 meter on a side. 1 meter squared is the same thing as saying 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters, right? So 1 meter by 1 meter equals 1 meter squared. If you do the matching, it's the same thing as saying 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters is 10,000 centimeters squared. Okay, so it's a big number, right? You've got lots of centimeters in 1 meter. So now we've got this here. We've got 1 meter squared is 10,000 centimeters squared. We can take the ratio. So it's 1. 1 meter squared is whatever, 10,000 centimeters squared down here. Centimeter squares cancel. We got 8,101 divided by 10,000, and we end up with 0.8 meters squared. Okay? And I think this is probably one of the last ones. This is kind of difficult. We got pounds per cubic inch going to kilograms per cubic meter. Okay, so what's a cubic inch? Right? 1 by 1 by 1, but that's the same thing as 2.54 centimeters, 2.54 centimeters times 2.54 centimeters, which is 16.4 centimeters cubed. So 1 inch cubed is equal to 16.4 centimeters cubed. Same thing, we multiplied by 1. See, is it further down here? No. Okay. So now we've got 16.4 centimeters cubed as an inch cubed. We just established that. Well, we want to go to meters eventually, so we need to go from centimeters to meters. So we got 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cubed. Okay, so 1 cubic meter is 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters, which can be written by 100 centimeters, the quantity, cubed. Okay, or you can just go 100 times 100 times 100 on your calculator if you don't know how to do 100 cubed. Okay, so when you do that, you're going to end up with 6 zeros, which is 1,000,000. Is that correct? My math folks? Please correct me if I make an algebraic or arithmetic mistake. So we got 1,000,000 cubic centimeters in a meter cubed. Now some of you may remember that. So if you ever run across a problem like this, you'll be able to multiply by 1 quite easily. So we had 16.4 centimeters cubed per inch cubed. Now we want to get rid of the centimeters, and we want meters per inch cubed. Okay, here's meters per inch cubed. These will cancel. Okay, we go do that, and we end up with 16.4 times 10 to the minus 6. So 1,000,000 in the denominator is the same thing as 10 to the 6th in the denominator. I probably should write that out. So if I have 10 to the 6th, oops, plus 6, pardon me. Let me erase that. If I have 10 to the 6th in the denominator, that's equal to 10 to the minus 6, right? You guys remember that? That's where that comes from. So we have 10 to the 6th in the denominator, so I brought it up, and it's 10 to the minus 6. Okay, so this is how many meters 1 cubic inch is. Does that make sense? Cubic inch is a very small piece of a
Right.
cubic meter.
Right.
So it should be a very small number. Okay, if you were to write it out and move the decimal place, you'd have to move it 6 times, so you get 0.000016, if I did that right. Okay? So you could write it that way too. Okay? You guys following? This one's getting a little complicated. So now that's the blue stuff. This white stuff is, okay, we've got 35 pounds per cubic inch. That was our original problem. So here's 35 pounds per cubic inch. Okay, we have inches per cubic meter. That's right here. We had to flip it around because we wanted to get rid of the inches. So 1 inch is 16 times 10 to the minus 6 meter cubed. And then we have this pound thing we want to multiply by 1. We get kilograms per pound, which is 1 kilogram per 2.2 pounds. And when we do the math, you can see here's your 2.2, here's your 1.6 times 10 to the minus 6. Okay, here's your 35. And then the units cancel, these pounds cancel this, these inch cubes cancel that, and you end up with kilogram meters cubed. So kilogram per meters cubed is what you want to end up with. So you end up with 0.97 times 10 to the 6 kilograms per cubic meter. And that makes sense because we started out with about 35 pounds in a cubic inch. If we get to a really big cubic meter, we're going to have a lot more mass in that, right? So this is a density unit, right? Kilograms per cubic meter. Great. So here's another way to do the same problem all in one shot. This was taught to me by a Navy guy. Navy guys have to be able to do all their calculations by hand in case their electronics goes out. Okay?
They don't let them use the calculator on the ASVAB.
Yeah, they don't use calculators. Okay, you're allowed to use calculators now on ACTs and SATs, is that correct? Yeah. Okay. But it's good to be able to do this by hand. Okay, so we start out with 35 pounds per inch. We multiply by 1. So we go kilograms per pound. That's 1, right? 1 divided by 2.2. So that'll get rid of our pounds. See that? Then we're going to end up with kilograms per cubic inch. So we have to get rid of the cubic inches. So we know that we have cubic inches per centimeter cubed. So that gets rid of our cubic inches, but now we have centimeters cubed. We want meters cubed in the end. So now we have to get rid of the centimeters, right? So that's 100 centimeters per meter, the quantity cubed. You can do it that way. And now your meters cubed will remain, and your centimeters cubed, right, will cancel out here. And all you're left with is the stuff in yellow, meters and kilograms, or meters cubed per kilogram. So kilogram per meters cubed is what you end up with. In order to do that, you just multiply all these numbers out. So you get 35, right, which is what you started with, right, times 1 times 1 times 100 cubed. So 35 times 100 cubed. Okay, we already took care of the units. And then what's left on the bottom? 2.2, 2.54 cubed, 2.2, 2.54 cubed. Now you can dump this in the calculator in one shot. So if Josh and Clark Kent want to do that, as they have a calculator, they can do this math and they can come up with the same number. So this is another way to do the same problem. I suggest you try to learn this way because it's more efficient and less confusing, at least for me. But by going through it step by step before you get the little parts.
They use that method in chemistry in college too, so you guys will see that again.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, when the Navy guy showed me that, it helped me a lot to